All right, and thanks for joining us on WWL Plus. Just want to update on what is happening. This had all originated as a area of storms that were more in southwest Mississippi as they continued south across the North Shore. Florida parishes generally below severe limits. Winds were at times gusting up to 40 miles an hour. No real significant hail, at least analyzed by the radar. No hail reports that I've seen. But then as it continued south over the lake, we started to see some of the storms intensify. Weather Service went ahead and issued severe thunderstorm warnings, first from St. Charles, St. John Parish, and then toward Baton Rouge, and then later including much of the metro area. Now, zooming into metro New Orleans, most of the storms that kind of developed or moved in really stayed more away from the lakefront. We saw the bulk of those kind of develop south of I-10 into the metro area, as well as in parts of Jefferson Parish, especially near the river. Old Jefferson, River Ridge, Harahan, Elmwood continued into South Kenner, and now most of that is moving onto the West Bank. That's where we've also seen some of the heaviest storms in the metro area. Some around the river bend, lightning, heavy rainfall, but the heaviest more so West Bank, from Estelle down toward Belle Chase, and even south of Poydras, where much of St. Bernard Parish, at least Chalmette, Araby, didn't get nearly as much of that. Now kind of continuing to the west, a lot of it is heavy, or most of these thunderstorms have been heaviest. We saw kind of that complex remain steady and intensify a bit more as they pushed more toward the river parishes. A lot of lightning, heavy rainfall, might be getting some minor flooding within these. At least they are moving, but the rainfall rates have been fairly significant. Nothing quite yet down to the bayou parishes, though DeSalmond starting to get onto that. As long as it holds together, Raceland, Thibodaux, Homa, down toward Cutoff, you will all be getting in on this as well. But thankfully, this is it. Once this is clear the coast, that's pretty much it for the rest of the night. May still have some lingering showers here and there, but the bulk of the heavier storms will already be done. So let's analyze these storms, and let's switch over first to hail. That's been kind of the main culprit from these storms as we've seen them going back to Friday. It looks like maybe some minor hail cores, a little bit of pea-size hail, perhaps on the east bank. And then you get that deeper blue, which is approaching quarter-size hail. Might have some pea-size hail around Tulane, Uptown, near the river bend, Black Pearl, as well as down in the direction of Belle Chase, maybe pea to even quarter-size hail. And we saw much of that in the river parishes where we had the more intense storms, and you see that kind of already moving just to the east of Vacherie, and then around Garyville, Lutcher, maybe pea-size hail. So thankfully, the at least analysis from the radar in terms of the size of hail have all been in the lower categories where they're not going to do any damage. Pea and quarter size, we saw that fairly widespread on Friday, and maybe seeing that, although at least as of yet no official reports of any hail, and we do have some of that across parts of the metro area. Looking at the rainfall rates of how intense these storms are right now, we do get some heavier rainfall or heavier cells where you may be approaching into the pink. That's 4 to 6 inches per hour. These are much more isolated compared to the very widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain per hour. And again, that would be if the storm just sat, you could see 2 to 4 inches of rain accumulation. This is just an indication of how intense the storms are. So not that you will get 2 to 4 inches of rain accumulated on the ground. It's just that these intense rainfalls, as we know across southeast Louisiana, can quickly accumulate on the ground where you get ponding. You might have some minor street flooding, usually nothing more than the nuisance street flooding. Tends not to be with these type of events where it's not going to have huge accumulation amounts where it's widespread. And again, this is it. Once we get through this afternoon and evening, the threat of any additional severe weather, flooding, heavy rainfall will be over with for the rest of the night tonight. And again, where we do have some of the heaviest, mainly on the West Bank, you're starting to see most of those higher rainfall rates, though we do have parts of the city, especially in, say, right along the river on the east bank of Jefferson Parish, and then around Black Pearl, Tulane, so uptown toward the river bend, but a lot of it has been a little bit more on the West Bank. Same as you head toward the river parishes, though it looks like it's pretty heavy on both sides of the river at this time. You do find out toward Convent, maybe some areas approaching 4 to 6 inches of rain per hour, but for the most part, it's either this yellow, which is 1 to 2, we can handle that, 2 to 4 inches of rainfall in a short period of time. You are going to get some street flooding and some low-lying areas. Typically, this is not quite enough where you would have any issues of canals overflowing. Not quite there, and we didn't have as much rainfall over the weekend. Actually, Saturday was dry, and Sunday a lot of our rainfall was confined to more Tangier Hope Parish and then into the river parishes. So didn't see quite that much widespread rainfall over the course of the weekend, but we're getting certainly welcomed rain for many. Unfortunate on the timing, as a lot of kids are just now getting off to school or getting off of school, and you're getting these heavy rainfall making that afternoon commute a little bit more treacherous. Now note, we really have much of Kenner, Metairie, the city dry. You have to go a little bit closer to the river to find some of the heavier rainfall. And then for us here in the French Quarter, we've had a few little drops on our camera lens, so not even that much. So most of what we have on the metro area as far as the heavy rainfall is generally on the West Bank, though we do have some activity East Bank and then especially along the river parishes. Kind of zooming out just to show you what has been and what is yet to come. Note, as we go onto the North Shore, there is nothing there. May have still some lingering showers later into the evening, but for the bulk of the storms, as they clear the coast a little bit later on this afternoon, it will be done. So far, no reports of damage. Again, what we do have in terms of the severity, small hail should not be large enough to do any damage. Gusty winds, always a potential up to 60 miles an hour within some of these storms, especially the storms now as they are on the West Bank and including the river parishes. So this will be an ongoing issue for the next couple of hours. So unfortunately for that evening commute, and then going into the latter part of the evening will be drying out. But for some, it will still be an issue driving home from work. And of course, a lot of kids getting off of school at this hour. And for many across the metro area and across the South Shore, it is a little bit more of a hazardous drive. A lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rainfall within these storms. Gusty winds have been a little bit more contained and a little bit more isolated. And with regard to the potential of hail, those two have been fairly isolated in nature. We'll be watching this line. As a matter of fact, by the time we join you at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock for our evening newscast, the bulk of the rainfall will have already been moving out of the area and much quieter as we go later into the night tonight. For now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Franklin.